There I am. Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Caitlin, your favorite Michigan girl, here with another life update. I'm not sure if I should still keep calling these life updates because I'm going to be talking about some other stuff that isn't pertaining to my personal life. So I'm not sure what to call these anymore. I'll still call them life updates, but I'm really not sure what I should be calling them. So I have my Slurpee. It is Saturday and I'm ready to get started. So moving forward, I think pretty much all my content, if it's not a reaction, is going to be coming out on Saturdays on my YouTube channel simply because I did start a new job. So I don't know if I mentioned this. I got a job with a company called We Care Connect. I am working from home, but my hours are kind of right in the middle of the day. I actually work from noon to 4. So it doesn't leave me a lot of free time to sit down and do really long vlogs like this. So that means this type of content will primarily be released on Saturdays for right now. It might switch to Sundays for a couple months maybe, or whenever I can fit time in, because I am hopefully going to start going back to church. I found an ELCA church, which for those who do know, ELCA stands for Evangelical Lutheran Churches of America. And they are more liberal and mainstream liberal Lutheran synod that is very supportive of the LGBTQ plus community and Black Lives Matter and other minority communities and immigration and just into ERA, equal rights and stuff, and pro-life, pro-choice, pro-life. So it's really more in lines of what I'm looking for in a church. I was going to a Missouri Synod church, which is slightly more, it's conservative, but not as hardcore conservative. And then I was also going back to my childhood church, Holy Scripture, which is an ELS church, Evangelical Lutheran Synod church, which is kind of more conservative than I am looking for. I would definitely feel like the odd fish out. So I am going to try going to this ELCA Church, Trinity. They do an outdoor contemporary service on Sundays at 11:15. So that is what I'm going to try to get to. I'm hoping I can go to it. But I'm also might be starting a second job. Halloween is coming, you guys. It is right around the corner. As you guys know, in the past, I've worked at this really fun little pop-up Halloween shop called The Halloween Store. I was not sure if it was going to open this year because the space at the mall that usually goes to the Halloween store, the mall has sold that to Mid-Michigan Health, who is going to convert it into office space, because they lost some of their office space in the flood of 2020. So they're looking for more space. They've been using that area to store stuff, and the mall says, we'll just sell it to you. So I wasn't sure if the Halloween store was going to come back, but thankfully they were able to lease out the back half of the old Yonkers store at the mall, and that is where the Halloween store was going to be. I actually talked to Mike yesterday, and I said, well, I've got this new job where I work right in the middle of the day, but I can come in and work Saturday mornings, which is what I did last year. I worked at Bath & Body Works during the week, and then Saturdays I would go work at the Halloween store, which I love. And Saturdays is actually a lot of fun because it means I'm not racking my head every single day trying to find an outfit I didn't wear earlier in the week. I can actually wear some really fun outfits, and I have some really fun outfits to wear. I have my Loki dress. I have a Captain America Spirit jersey. I have a sword shirt. I can do some really fun bounding outfits for the Halloween store, which is awesome and amazing and fun. So that is my work thing right now. I'm excited that I got a job, and I'm excited it's a really nice job. Like I said, it's working from home. I'm basically cold calling people. But there's some guidelines I have to follow, and hopefully I can hit those and I can keep going, because that would be really nice. So job front. Also, really quickly, I want to say hello, welcome, and thank you to Bloody Lilies for subscribing to my channel. I'm always excited. I'm always flabbergasted when I get a new subscriber, because seriously, I am looking at my content. I am posting on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, and I'm like, on Facebook, not so much, because on Facebook, it's my family. But on Instagram, people are liking my photos. I'm like, really? You like this? Okay, I guess I'm doing something. So I'm always flabbergasted when people like my videos, when they subscribe, they comment, and not just on YouTube, but on Instagram. I'm always shocked at when people actually like my stuff, because I'm like, I'm trying to take this seriously because it's practice for my career field in the future, doing digital marketing. So I'm building my own personal brand as practice for when I get a job, and I'm building my company's brand. But it's still kind of I'm always kind of shocked. So thank you so much and welcome, Bloody Lilies. I hope I do not disappoint you or any of my other subscribers that I have. My hair is a mess. So first off, I want to address something I talked about in my reaction for the Venom Let There Be Carnage. I mentioned this briefly, and I just kind of want to get it out of the way because it is kind of a downer for me. And this is the more personal part of today's update, and this is pretty much the only other personal part other than my job. I mentioned that I had a memorial service to attend last Saturday, which is why last Saturday would have been when I started putting the new content schedule where I post stuff like this on Saturdays. As you can tell, I did not do that last Saturday. And the reason I did not do that is I actually attended the memorial service for my grandma Sharon. And I do not want to cry. I have cried so much. She passed away a couple weeks ago. And it was, oh my God, I'm going to cry. It wasn't shocking. My grandma Sharon, she has not been in the greatest health for years. And to the point where she and I would email each other, but there would just be like gaps of time where I would email her and I would not hear back from her because she was just too sick to get to a computer to write an email. So there would be like years, like a year or two, where I would not hear from her. And this past time, she's just been so sick, I haven't heard from her in like 2 to 3 years, maybe more. And my Uncle Robert was taking care of her. But I never thought my grandma has literally been through hell. Like, she was born during the 40s, so keep that in mind. This is my grandma was 77, and I literally look at her life and I go, my grandma has basically lived like in hell, and she's gone through hell, and she's been through some of the worst times imaginable. And in my mind, even as sick as she was, as bad as her health was, I always thought of her of my grandma Sharon as indestructible. And I never thought that she had COVID pneumonia last year, for crying out loud. When we were getting over COVID, my grandma had COVID and she had COVID pneumonia and ended up in the hospital. And she managed to make it. She beat COVID freaking pneumonia, and her health was not great. She then was in and out of hospitals for various infections, and she had to go to a nursing home and all this other stuff. But she, in my mind, she beat it. She was tough as nails. My uncle had it, and he beat it. And I'm like, my grandma Sharon is indestructible. You know, her health's not the greatest, but nothing can bring her down. Nothing is going to stop my grandma Sharon. And the reason I call her indestructible is I only knew 3 of my grandparents. My grandma Sharon, my grandpa Letts, and my grandma Letts. And to me, my grandma Sharon was always the indestructible one. She was also the youngest of my grandparents, by the way. But to me, she was indestructible. And so to get the news that she was sick, that she wasn't doing very well. Sorry, my camera's going weird. I don't know why. I think the light in my room's going in and out. I heard that and I just didn't want to believe it, and I cried. I thought it was the worst news ever. And then she was just gone. My aunt posted on Facebook that she passed away, and I was absolutely devastated, but I didn't want to cry, and I wanted to be strong because my grandma Sharon was the one who told me I had to be strong. You know, she's like, you're the oldest one in your family, Caitlin. You have to be the strong one. You have to be strong. You have to be tough. And part of me wonders if my grandma knew when I was little that it was just going to be so different from everybody in my family. I mean, you look at my personality compared to my brother and my dad and my mom, and my personality is just radically different from theirs. And I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with my camera. And so I'm just like, I wonder if she knew even then. And the reason I say that is because for the first 8 years of my life, my grandma Sharon helped raise me. when I was born, both my parents were working. My mom worked at a like grocery convenience store out in Sanford, and my dad worked at a corner grocery store in Mills Township, and they both had like the same working hours for a long period of time, and so they weren't able to be with me. So a lot of the time I was actually with my grandma Sharon or my aunt Chris. And so I was with my grandma Sharon, my aunt Chris, and my uncle Robert or my aunt Holly a lot. And sometimes I was with my dad's side of the family too. I don't want to say I was just with my grandma's side of the family. I was with my dad's side of the family a lot. But my grandma Sharon is the one I was with primarily most of the time. She was like my main caregiver when my parents couldn't be. So she, in many ways, now that I'm older and I'm looking back at it, she was very much like a second mom to me. She helped. She actually taught me my first word, and it was a Sarah word, and it starts with the letters S and H. So use your imagination to fill in the blanks. But she made me so many clothes when I was little. She made me a wedding dress one year for Halloween because I just wanted to be a bride, and she had a little bucket in her backyard that was a swimming pool, and she had a garage that she converted into a second like space to like play and hang out, and it was air conditioning. And before she moved to Kentucky when I was 8 years old to be with my aunt who was in the military and had a kid. So she was here from till I was 8 years old, and I was at her house at least 2 to 3 times a week when I was a kid. And she went to the same church as us, so I saw her every Sunday. So that's how much time I spent with her as a child until I was 8 years old. Is I was at her house almost every single day of the week. Like I feel like it was really rare almost when I wasn't there, because I remember like most of the memories I have of that time and is of spending so much time at her house. She in fact gave me a pair of gerbils. I'm not kidding. My first pets outside of goats and a cat I had for like 5 hours. My grandma Sharon gave me a pair of gerbils named Muffy and Patches. And they were like my first real pets outside of my goats. So that is literally how close we were. And a part of it is I was the first grandchild she really had a chance to interact with. Because like I said, my grandmother had lived through hell. Her life is not the greatest. And it's a very interesting dynamic, you know. So she actually has I have an aunt who my grandma and my aunt are kind of my grandma and my aunt were estranged from each other, like they didn't communicate. And this aunt has 2 girls, and one of those girls has a baby. So my grandmother has 2 granddaughters and a great granddaughter that she never met, that she never got to meet because of this issue between her and my aunt. And so when I was born, I'm actually my grandma Sharon's 3rd grandchild. The 2 other girls are older than me, and I'm the 3rd grandchild. So I was the first grandchild my grandma had a chance to interact with and be with, and so I think that meant a lot to her. And there's also the fact that she might have seen it as a way to make up to my mom, because my mom is my grandma Sharon's oldest child, and my grandma Sharon is not married to my mom's dad. And my grandma Sharon my mom was born in 1961, and my grandma Sharon was a teenager, and so my grandma Sharon decided to give my mom up, and my mom was raised by her grandparents, my great-grandparents, my grandma and Grandpa Chubb. And so part of me thinks that maybe my grandma was so excited to have a grandchild she could interact with and also see it as a way to make up to her mom. And it's also the fact, that's also why until I was like in 5th grade, I called my grandma Sharon my aunt, because I didn't know she was my grandma. I thought she was my aunt and my uncle were my cousins. And then when I was in 5th grade, my mom told me the truth. And it definitely changed my perspective of my grandmother, but it made me love her even more, because I couldn't imagine having to do that. I mean, my grandma was like, my grandma could be strict with us. My grandma had quite a few rules. I remember, I have so many memories. Not only did my grandma teach me my first word, my grandma tricked my brother and I into eating cow tongue, okay? That's how my grandma was. My grandma was the one who made me stop like chewing on everything. I used to chew on lots of stuff. Like she got so mad I would chew on my hair. I went down to Kentucky to visit after she moved down there, and like I wanted this stuffed bear, and my grandma would not let me get this stuffed bear. And then I got it for Christmas. So yeah, it's kind of hard, you know. I don't have any, and she's gone, and I'd been really hoping that she would make it to see me get my bachelor's degree because she was always kind of, like I said, she told me to be strong, and I wonder how much of it was she knew what I'd be like as I grew older and how that would translate with my family. But it's also kind of hard because now I have to sit here and go, I have no grandparents. And my grandma Sharon, for a long time, like I said, she kind of helped raise me, and she was one of my biggest advocates when I was a kid. I I don't have that anymore, and I am still learning to advocate for myself. And my grandpa Letts died when I was in 4th grade from lung cancer, and my grandma Letts died a few years ago. And I don't know. And so now I have no grandparents. You're probably going, what about your mom's dad? Well, I don't know anything about my mom's biological father. I only know 2 things. One, he was German. And two, well, actually, I know a few things. I know he was German. I know that my mom was not his first kid to be born outside of marriage. He was actually married and had a few kids in this marriage. And then apparently, this was a habit of his. And apparently, my mom has quite a few half siblings, not just from her dad's marriage, but from his other affairs that she knows nobody about. And we know this because her bio dad's wife actually gave my great grandparents clothes and money for my mom till she was 5 years old. So there's that. So I know he's German. I know he had quite a few kids. So I have aunts and uncles I don't even know that I've never met. And the last thing I know about him is he's dead. That's all I know about my biological grandfather. That's it. I know he's dead. I know he was German. I know he had family, and I know where he's buried. He's buried in a cemetery in Sanford. But I don't know his last name. I don't know his name. I don't know anything else about him. So, I have no grandparents now, and it's kind of hard. Luckily, my mom has a woman she works with named Barb, who is just amazing and awesome, and Barb is feeding my love of Disney. So, like I said, it's hard, and I'm going to try and bring the mood up a little bit now because that was really depressing and hard for me to do. Excuse me. It's also one reason I do these videos is because this is stuff I can't feel like I can talk about with my family. Like, I've tried talking about why I love Disney so much with my mom, and my mom has literally told me that she is not interested and she doesn't want to hear me talk about it. Like, we went out to the store today and I was talking about, my Aunt Chris was messaging me and saying that, oh, hey, we should start planning for your Disney trip next year in September because I'm trying to plan my dream Disney trip. And I was talking about it and she would just like sigh, and when she started sighing and stuff I knew she just didn't want me to hear me talk about it anymore. So it does make it kind of hard, and I think that's why my grandma was always telling me to be strong, and she knew that this would happen as I grew up. You know, I'd always have this sense of whimsy and magic and imagination, and but be very I can be very smart and stuff, but she knew it would not translate well with my mom and my brother and my dad, who are like, my dad's not exactly whimsical. My mom and my brother definitely have a very cynical point of view about the world. It's very much not the nicest view, but I'm like, I love everybody, and the world can be awesome and amazing. You just have to see positivity. And my parents and my brother, for the most part, just see the negative. So I think my grandma knew that was what was going to happen to me, and that's why she wanted me to be so strong when I grew up. Was she knew I was going to grow up in this family where I would grow up with people who only saw the negative, and I'm trying to see the positive in everything. But I can be cynical too, but I try to do it very positively, which is very weird. But yeah, it's hard now. And so all I can do is move forward and try to advocate for myself. I have my YouTube channel, and this is my chance to talk about the stuff I like and the stuff I love to do and the stuff I'm interested in. And even though nobody responds to me, it really helps me. It really helps me do this. So basically, you guys are like my little therapist. So thank you so much. So off to the depressing topic, let's talk about some other stuff. I said I would talk about this because I think I have kind of a unique view. I'm not sure how unique, but I really wanted to talk about this because it is in the headlines everywhere. Scarlett Johansson and her people suing Disney over the Black Widow release. So basically, if you guys haven't heard, I'm pretty sure everybody has heard at this point, Scarlett Johansson and her camp issued a breach of contract lawsuit against Disney, saying Disney breached their contract by not exclusively releasing Black Widow in theaters, which was stated in the contract, and instead doing a dual release on Disney Plus as well. So, Here's my viewpoint, and this is where I say I'm positive but cynical. I am taking this lawsuit and everything that's coming with it with a grain of salt. Right now, there are articles everywhere that say Disney is shocked by the lawsuit. Disney feels like they've been backstabbed by the lawsuit. Disney's angry. Scarlett Johansson and her people are angry. Marvel's angry. Disney is canceling all the projects they had with Scarlett Johansson, and on and on and on and on and on. And I'm sitting here because I have researched Disney because I want to work at the Disney parks, but I'm also researching like the studios and everything to do with it. And I'm taking this very cynical approach to it because Disney never, everybody's like, oh, Disney didn't tell her. No. Disney never hid the fact when they finally released Black Widow that it was going to be dual release on Disney Plus. And the reason it wasn't written in is Disney Plus wasn't ready to launch Premier Access when it launched. So Premier Access launched because of the pandemic, because Disney couldn't do wide theatrical releases for its movies. That's why they started doing the Premier Access Pass on Disney Plus, so that they could launch their movies still. Those people who worked on the movies, who were in the movies, knew this was going to happen. Disney never hid this. They never bothered hiding the fact that Marvel's Black Widow was going to be released in theaters and on Disney Plus. They were actually ready to just go ahead and release it on Disney Plus if they could not release it in theaters. That's how they were. So this is where I kind of have this cynical viewpoint about the whole lawsuit, is that Disney, since Disney never made it a secret, Scarlett Johansson and her people already knew this was coming. And if you look at when they filed but they couldn't file the breach of conduct lawsuit then because no breach had actually happened. They had to wait for the movie's release. Well, they waited for the movie's release, and then they filed the lawsuit after the movie had been in theaters for 2 weeks, because the first week it did amazingly well at the box office. The second week, the earnings fell, and that's when they filed the lawsuit, saying Scarlett Johansson lost out on her money, which she did. I'm not saying she didn't have a valid case for a lawsuit. I'm just saying you have to look a little bit deeper. This is what I think. I think Disney knew this lawsuit was coming, and it's not just like they had an inkling. I really honestly think Scarlett Johansson's people went, look, we love you. You've been amazing. We understand why you're doing this. But if this tanks, if the box office earnings go down after the first week, because of that, we're going to launch this lawsuit against you because because the contract wasn't rewritten. They didn't make any allowances for the earnings for Premier Access. And that is kind of where Disney has kind of failed, where HBO Max and Warner Brothers have not, is they've kind of had it written in that the stars and the crew and everything would get some money from from earnings from the streaming services, where Disney Plus didn't really do that because, like I said, they weren't ready to launch Premiere Plus when they launched it. Mulan was literally an experiment, and they're still experimenting with Premiere Plus. So I honestly think Scarlett Johansson or people let Disney know ahead of time, we're going to do this. So I don't think Disney was shocked by it. I don't think Disney is mad about the lawsuit. I don't think they've been backstabbed. I think Disney always knew this was going to happen. I don't think Scarlett Johansson and her people are mad at Disney like everybody's saying. I don't think they're as mad as what they're trying to make it out to be. I honestly think it was well planned. It was planned ahead in advance. Everybody involved knew this was going to happen, and if the box office earnings had not fallen in the second week, this lawsuit would not have happened. That is my point. I don't think Disney has canceled anything. Those are just rumors flying around. Honestly, now they're saying Emma Stone is going to sue. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Dwayne The Rock is going to sue. I honestly don't. I just think this was a chance. Scarlett Johansson and her people said, we're going to do this. Disney's like, okay, do what you got to do. And they did it. And it's really just another way for Disney to see how they can make Disney Plus better, how they can make Premier Access better, and make these contracts better in the future. In case you guys haven't already heard, Disney has already announced they are not releasing Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings on Disney Plus the same time it's being released in theaters. So there is that. So that is my take on the lawsuit. I don't think it's as contentious as everybody says it is. I simply think it is what it is. And like I said, looking at the positive side of this, Disney's learning a lesson about streaming, and that is going to help them in the future. And maybe this means Marvel movies won't be released on Disney Plus the same time as they are in theaters because they're such big movies. They're probably going to want to do theatrical releases only. The reason I think they didn't do that with like Cruella de Vil is because they weren't banking on Cruella de Vil being that box office smash like a Marvel movie. It's really just a fun movie. So I think the bigger movies, I think you're going to see Marvel and Star Wars and like and X-Men and stuff like those types of movies. Those are going to be theatrical release movies only, and they're not going to get like premiere access. Smaller movies like the remakes of the Disney classics, I think those are more likely to be dual released on Disney Plus and in theaters. So that's just something to keep in mind. Also, quick note, everybody's freaking out about the fact we haven't had a Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, and now people are like, are we even going to get a trailer? Because of some comment Kevin Feige apparently made saying they're going to try something new where they're not going to release a trailer and they just want people to experience it in cinemas. Some people are taking that to mean that there will not be a mass release trailer and that you will have to go see a Marvel movie to see a trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm thinking that would be really cool, honestly, because I'm planning on seeing Eternals and Shang-Chi anyway, so I'm fine. But at the same time, I doubt that's actually going to happen. So, again, that's something else to think about. Just keep in the back of your mind. So, moving on, let's talk about Bad Batch, which actually ended yesterday. The season finale was really, really good. I loved Bad Batch overall. And everyone's like, Caitlin, you love everything. I don't necessarily love everything. Bad Batch was really, really, really amazing. And I'm saying that because I've heard so many people complaining. I've seen a lot of people complaining about Bad Batch, and it kind of boggles my mind. So things you have to take into consideration before you complain about Bad Batch or any show in general once it starts airing is one, the first season of any show is world building. This is where you're going to meet the characters. This is where you're going to get a scope for the time and place and what's going on. It's world building. So it's not going to have a lot of hard-hitting stories just yet. Bad Batch was unique in that it was world building, but it was also very hard hitting. I would like to say right off the bat, Bad Batch, if I have kids, I am not letting them watch Bad Batch until they're tweens, like 12 to 13 years old is when I will let them watch that show. Bad Batch was dark right from the start. And when I say dark, I mean it was Clone Wars dark, and then it just got darker. Like the last 2 episodes of the season, those were so dark and so heavy. I literally felt like I could not breathe for most of those episodes. That's how intense the last 2 episodes were. So, there's that. I would not let a little kid watch Bad Batch just yet. And like I said, world building. So, of course, the first season is going to not be the greatest. And I have to say the complaints about Bad Batch are making me laugh because they're saying the first season was slow and it was bad. Like I said, first season is all about world building. But here's something else. The complaints about the first season of Bad Batch are echoing very similarly to the complaints about Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, especially Star Wars Rebels. I will never forget people complaining about Star Wars Rebels, about the animation style and about how slow-paced it was and how it was they just did not like the first season of Star Wars Rebels. And it just makes me laugh because those are some of the same complaints people are having about Bad Batch, and Star Wars Rebels is now one of the most popular aspects of Star Wars. It was so popular that when Dave Filoni announced at Celebration one year that the 4th season of Rebels would be its last, people were shocked and crying. I started to cry. So that's kind of like you go from a show where the first season it was kind of lambasted and kind of like it's good, but it's not great. We don't like it to the 4th season. People are so shocked and upset that it's ending. So, honestly, I'm like, seriously? And here it gets even better. People are complaining about Omega, and there are things as they don't like her because she's too young, and she's annoying, and she's bratty, and she's whiny, and I'm like sitting there going, oh my gosh. Again, echoing earlier complaints, those are the exact same complaints people were making about Ahsoka when she premiered in Star Wars The Clone Wars. Like, literally, Ashley Eckstein talks about her on a Rebel special about them bringing back Ahsoka, that in the early days of Ahsoka, people did not like the character Ahsoka Tano. They said she was too snippy, she was annoying, she was kind of bratty. They did not like her. And now Ahsoka Tano is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, and one of the most recognizable characters from Star Wars. So popular to the point they brought her back for The Mandalorian, and they're giving her her own limited run series. So, again, it's kind of funny that Ahsoka Tano was complained about and is now this very popular character, but those same complaints people are making about Omega from Bad Batch. And I'm just sitting there laughing because I love Omega, and one of the reasons I love her is I know what Dave Filoni is doing, because that was the whole point of Ahsoka in Clone Wars. And Ezra in Rebels. Is in Clone Wars, for the majority of Clone Wars and in Rebels, we are looking at what is happening through the eyes of these young teens. Because Luke was 19, I believe, in New Hope. And Dave Filoni's whole thing was Star Wars was meant for tweens. It was not meant for adults. It was meant to be a coming-of-age story to help tweens find their way in the world. So, through Ahsoka, who was only 14 at the start of Clone Wars, and Ezra, who was 14, 15 in Rebels, and now Omega, who I'm thinking is like 12-ish in Bad Batch, we're looking at the world through their eyes and seeing what they see from a young perspective. So it's very interesting that the complaints about the ages and stuff, I'm like, well, that's kind of the point. Star Wars was meant for young kids. It was not meant for, like, adults right off the bat. But like I said, Bad Batch not letting my kids watch till they're teens. So these complaints are just making me laugh because I'm like, I'm a Star Wars fan. I have heard all these complaints. And not only that, I'm a prequels fan. So I've heard every single one of these complaints. And I will never forget people complaining about Jar Jar. Heck, I even did not like Jar Jar for a period of time. And now I'm like older and I'm like, appreciate him. Yes, he was not like the most sensitive, appropriate character, but we still should have appreciated him a little bit more because Ahmed Best helped break ground by playing Jar Jar in terms of special effects. So we should really give Jar Jar his due. In fact, I'm planning to get a Jar Jar plushie from Target. So it just boggles in my mind that people are so quick to jump on the Star Wars bandwagon and just complain, but then go back years later and go, well, you know what, actually, you know, like Rise of Skywalker, so many people complain about Rise of Skywalker, and now I'm seeing more and more people go, you know what, maybe Rise of Skywalker really wasn't that bad. And I feel like 10 years from now, people are just going to go, you know what, that Rise of Skywalker, that's actually a pretty good Star Wars movie. I mean, just look at Solo. When Solo first came out, people complained about Solo. And now there's actually a hashtag called Make Solo 2. Like, people want a sequel to Solo, a Star Wars story. But yet, those same people were probably complaining about it earlier. So it just boggles my mind. Like I said, I'm being cynical with positivity because I'm being cynical about these people complaining and making these same complaints. But at the same time, it's positive because in the end, these people will turn into big fans. And I will be the one saying, told ya, I was Omega fan from number 1. I have the Omega Funko. So, that is my take on Bad Batch. I highly recommend it if you're a Star Wars fan. Bad Batch was a really good arc in the final season of Clone Wars. It was so fun. It was so enjoyable. I love Gregor. I'm hoping next season we get Wolf, and that is a fact. They did announce Bad Batch Season 2. Where's the camera? 2. Bad Batch Season 2. Bad Batch Season 2. So that makes me happy because that means we're getting a second season of Loki and a second season of Bad Batch. Woohoo! So excited! Oh, and FYI, I think I gave you guys the wrong start date for Hawkeye. I think it's November 24th and not September 24th. I don't know. I forgot already. Sorry. Anyway, let's stop the media news and let's talk about shopping. If you guys don't want to, you can just end the video here. But as you guys know, the 50th anniversary of Disney World is coming. It starts October 1st. I will not be there, but I'm still super excited because it's Disney. Who would not be excited for the 50th anniversary of Disney? Honestly, I didn't realize Disney wasn't that much older than me. Excuse me. Anyway, as part of the 50th anniversary, there's going to be merch. And so Disney announced a couple weeks ago their lineup of merch, and what they're doing is something I think is really smart. They're actually releasing the merch in waves. So it's not going to be like all the merch, ta-da! It's more like, here's a wave, here's a wave, here's a wave, here's a wave. And the first wave actually kicked off this past Thursday, the 12th, with what was called pre-celebration merch. And it was actually very limited. I think there was only like 4 or 5 items. But I'm going to try to show you some of the stuff. So Disney Food Blog released an article about some of the merch. Come on, load pictures, load. So if you look, there is some pictures of the merchandise. That is what the Spirit jersey's in the little corner right there. So that's a pre-celebration. That's some of the merchandise. So pre-celebration was August 12th. And then the next round is the celebration collection, and that's coming in early October. And so this is going to be the Crocs and the mini ears. And this is the Loungefly that they're releasing. I'm sorry. I don't like this pattern. I think it would be better if it was on a different color, but this dark blue is just not making it pop for me. I really want it to be on the iridescent, which is the new color they came out with, the iridescent pink. So I am not actually a fan of the actual official 50th anniversary print. So I will not be getting any of the Loungefly or the mini ears. So here are the other mini ears they're doing for the 50th. I don't know what it is. I don't like this new oversized bow style. I think it's really weird. They're also doing an ear hat. You got some shirts and a dress. They're also doing our Dooney and Burt collection. This is the one I think people are going to go nuts over. This is a soap dispenser. You're asking, why are people going to go nuts over a soap dispenser? This soap dispenser actually dispenses the soap in the shape of a Mickey face. So that thing. And you can kind of see it on top here. These are actually pretty common at the Disney parks in Japan, so Tokyo Disney and Disney Sea. The soap dispensers in the bathroom will do this. So they're actually pretty popular over there, but they've never been released in the States. They just released the first one in the States, and this is going to be another one they're releasing. They're also doing a collection for Cinderella Castle, which will include mini ears and a Spirit jersey, some t-shirts, and I think a Loungefly. I'm not sure. They're in the mini ears for the Castle collection. They're doing the Vault collection, which is going to be a bunch of old retro themed style ears and hats and some plushies. I'm not sure. I thought about the plushies, but Minnie Mouse has lipstick and blush, and I'm not okay with that. They're going to be releasing some dishware to go with it. And then this is the new color collection. This is the iridescent pink that I was talking to you guys about. This is the new pink collection. So this is the ears, and then this is the Loungefly. I'm liking this Loungefly because it's not all over sequins. I love my Wishes Come True blue Loungefly, which is just sequins all over. This one is not, which is kind of nice. Maybe less chance of scratching me. And then this is the iridescent pink Spirit jersey, which I was on the fence about, but I think I'm going to go ahead and get it. And those will launch in like late October, I think. Yeah, late October is when Iridescent collection will launch. And then in November, they're launching a collection called Luxe, which will include these matching tracksuits. So, and then they're doing, I think they're doing a lot more merchandise. So this past week, the 12th, they launched some of the pre-celebration merchandise is what they called it. And it really wasn't that many stuff. I'll actually show you what they have left. So the day of the 12th, I actually was able to log on around 7 o'clock, 7:30, which was awesome. And I was able to get what I wanted. But when I logged on, they had the Spirit jersey. They had a 50th anniversary pin. They had the D23 pin set. They had they had like 2 or 3 t-shirts. So this is the page for the pre-celebration thing on Shop Disney. All they have left is the D23 pin set and a t-shirt. That's all they have left. So that is why I'm so lucky that I work from home now, because I was able to go in at 7 o'clock in the morning, and this is what I got. I got the 50th anniversary Walt Disney World Spirit jersey I love it. So it's really cool. It's got like a hollow design. It says the world's most magical celebration. And I love this bit in the bottom, the Mickey ears with the castle and the 50. And then this is the logo on the front. So I'm really, really glad I got this. They did raise the prices of Spirit jerseys, FYI. If you're someone like me and you love Spirit jerseys, this was $74.99. But I was able to use my D23 discount, and I got it marked down to like $67, but it still cost me like $75 after shipping and handling. And oh my gosh, what's going on with my camera? Okay, it's fixed. I need to get some new software, you guys. It is glitching out like crazy. So hopefully I will be able to, so that I just shipped today, so hopefully I'll have that next week and I can show it to you guys in person on my next video. I also ordered some stuff from Her Universe. I got the Bad Batch spirit jersey. It's not a spirit jersey, but it looks like a spirit jersey. I got that, and I got a new Ahsoka Tano shirt, because, duh, of course. I'm hoping Ahsoka makes an appearance in Bad Batch, so. And did a little bit of shopping. So I will show you guys that, and I will show you guys the iridescent collection. Luckily, that's one of the perks of working from home and also working a noon to 4 shift is I will be able to go in and, like, literally as soon as I open up my email and I saw that, hey, 50th anniversary stuff is available, I would immediately was able to purchase it. So that is one of the perks from working from home and pretty much having my phone glued to my hand. So that will be it for me today because this video is 40 minutes and I don't want to go too much longer. As always, if you guys want to hear me talk about something on the video, if you have questions, like I mentioned, I'm going to an Alka church. If you have questions about my faith, I'm always open to answering questions about them because I know people are like, Christians, really? But I'm open. I'm willing to put myself up there. You can ask me any questions and I will talk about them. I will answer them. If you guys don't, I would like to, you guys make sure you go out and check my Instagram page this past week, because it was a season finale of Bad Batch. I actually did a self-proclaimed Star Wars week where every day of the week I at the very least tried to wear a different Star Wars shirt and took a picture of it. So you guys can feel free to go down to Instagram and check those out. They were actually a lot of fun to do. I didn't do full makeup. I literally just put on t-shirts. But it was a lot. It was a blast. I had so much fun. So make sure you guys are checking out my Instagram, my Facebook. Don't forget, I have a fanfiction account where I have my Star Wars fanfiction. If you guys are on Archive of Your Own, you can actually find it there. I am slowly but surely cross-posting my Star Wars series to Archive of Our Own. My pen name there is Katie Jo, Kaitijo. So I might actually link that there once I get that story uploaded. So I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget, like I said, give me your comment down below with suggestions about stuff you would like to hear me talk about or see me do in future videos. Remember to stay safe and stay sane. COVID numbers are going up, so if you haven't gotten your vaccine yet, please, please, please try to get your COVID vaccine. And if you're wondering, I'm actually going to the fair next Monday, and I'm actually taking a mask with me, even though I will be outdoors the vast majority of the time. So please be smart, please be safe, and please be sane, and please go get your vaccines if you have not gotten them. With that being said, I am Caitlin, your favorite Michigan girl. I am sending you all lots of love, hugs, and prayers, and I will hopefully be talking to you guys next week. Like I said, stay safe and stay sane. Talk to you later. Bye, guys.